Make a tree topper bow with me. I'm starting with 8 different ribbons that are cut to 1.33 yards each, and I have 4 that are 1.5 inch width, 2 that are 2.5 inch, and 2 that are 4 inch. So I'm gonna stack them in order from top layer to bottom layer. I'm gonna grab my first ribbon, measure out 19 inches for the tail. I'm gonna pinch it, and then I'm gonna make 2 loops. Pinch it, do another loop, and I'm gonna pinch it, and I'm gonna have a short little spiky that's left coming out the top. So I'll have a 19-inch tail on one side and a little spiky coming out the other side. I'm going to use a piece of floral wire to tie around the center. I made a little loop, and I hold it with my thumb so that I can take the ends of the wire and go around the bow, come through the loop like a slip knot. I'm gonna pull the wire from the back of the bow so I can tie a little single knot on that back side. Now each additional layer that I make, I'm gonna be adding on to the back of the previous layer. So I don't have to hold all the layers in my hand at the same time. I just make each layer one at a time. So I grab my next ribbon, and again, I'm gonna measure out 19 inches. All of the tails in every layer are 19 inches. I'm gonna pinch it, and again, I'm gonna make a loop, and I want these 2 loops for the first 2 ribbons to be the same size. So I make my 2 loops, and I'm gonna show you, you wanna make each layer different than the previous layer. So these would be the same, you don't want that. So I'm gonna flip-flop it, so the tail and the little spiky are coming out the opposite sides of that first layer that I made. I hope that makes sense. See, opposites. So that when I tie it right onto the back of that, I now have a tail going out each side. That's the hardest part of this bow, is just making sure you alternate your tails. Other than that, this is just super easy to make. So I'm gonna grab my 3rd ribbon. I'm gonna measure out the 19 inches. I'm gonna make 2 loops with the little spiky, and I'm just gonna keep doing these same steps for each layer. Now, the first 2 ribbons I made, I did the loops the same size. This 3rd ribbon and 4th ribbon, I'm gonna make the loops just slightly bigger. I kind of go in groups of 2. So this one I did just slightly bigger, and then this white ribbon, the loops are gonna be, again, slightly bigger than the first 2. It's gonna be the same as that solid aqua that I used. Just remember to alternate the tails. That's the hardest part to remember, but it's an easy fix. You just flip-flop it. Tie it on, and just grab the next ribbon and keep going. We have a huge selection of bow kits available on our website, shopdesignerdiy.com, and they all come with a link to like an instructional video. Here I am just tying it on. I also am going to be showing you some of my favorite picks that coordinates with this theme that I made. So if you're using it for a wreath or a tree topper, at the end I will show you 3 of my favorite picks that would go perfect with this, and everything is available on our website. Now the last 2 layers of this bow are using 4-inch ribbon. It's so fun to work with. You just have to pinch it a little bit more since it's wider. But the last 2 ribbons, they're just gonna be slightly bigger. They're gonna be the back of the bow. This ribbon is amazing. Has like a red velvet glitter dots all over it. It's awesome. So I'm gonna tie this on, and then the red and white stripe is the last layer that I'm gonna be adding onto this bow. And after I add it on, I'm double knotting the wire so it doesn't go anywhere. All right, so I'm gonna flip it over, tie it on, I'm gonna double knot the wire, and then we are going to start kind of fluffing up the loops and trimming those top tails. So I round all the loops. Oh, almost forgot. We're gonna add a center ribbon. This center ribbon is gonna cover all of the wire that each layer was tied with. So I just pull it really tightly around all the layers, and I pull the ribbons so they're coming towards the top of the bow so they're not getting pushed towards the back. And I'm going to cut these flaps just a little bit shorter, use some hot glue, and glue each of them down. And I'm leaving my wire attached onto this bow so that it makes it easier if I'm just tying it onto the top of a tree, adding it to a wreath. Makes it so much easier already having the wire on it. So I'm gonna glue this down, and then I'm gonna fluff and cut the short tails coming out the top. So just take your time to round out all of the loops. You can kind of tug and pull the loops to where they need to be. Fan out all of the ribbons. Gives it like a round look. That's why it's important to use wired ribbons, so you can round it out and it holds its shape. So you're just gonna pinch your ribbon in half, cut at an angle, and I make these about the same size as the loops. You could leave them a little bit longer if you want, it's just personal preference. So cut all of these. And then for the 19-inch tails that are coming out the bottom of the bow, I am going to be first like evening them out. So I'm gonna stack them all on top of each other and just make sure that all of the tails are the same length. And then I'm going to start cutting them the same way I did these little spikies. How cute is this? I love it. So I just stack all the tails and start by just evening them out. Cut this side a little bit more. And then I'm just gonna take each ribbon and do the same thing. Once I'm done cutting, I'm gonna start fray checking all the ends. We have fray check available on our website. This is just like a clear sealer that you can just glide along the cut edges of all of your ribbon, and it keeps it from fraying. You just need a little bit. So we usually poke a hole in the top of the lid with a needle. We don't cut it. That way too much doesn't come out. And I just glide it right along all of the ends of all our ribbons. When we make bows, wreaths, all our projects, we put this on it. Here is the finished bow. You could leave your tails curled if you want them a little bit shorter. You can ruffle them. You could also cut them shorter if you wanted. But look at these picks. So if you're doing like a tree topper or a wreath, these picks coordinate amazing with this bow. Little candy canes. And this poinsettia has like a red and white striped edging. So cute. Make sure to like the video and leave me a comment.